Hey, voice teacher. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about today's episode because we are bringing on a very special guest, the amazing Lara Chapman of Vox Tape Studios. Lara is an award-winning singer-songwriter turned viral vocal coach. You may recognize her and her accounts on Instagram and TikTok. She has a casual over 1 million people following her on social media, and she has helped thousands of singers transform from shy and aspiring singers into confident and authentic artists. Lara is the real deal, y'all. She is a killer content creator. She sells online courses, and she also offers private lessons with her team of 6 associate teachers. Oh my goodness. And I think her team is continuing to grow. She is known for her pop song exercises. And what I especially love about Lara is how warm and relatable and funny she is in real life. In this episode, Lara shares so many great nuggets of wisdom through her story as an entrepreneur, like how she built an entire course and a membership program that flopped because she didn't have an audience to sell to. Oh my goodness, I love it. She holds nothing back, and I really just loved every minute of it. And I have no doubt that you are going to feel the same way after listening to this episode. So grab your cup of tea or your coffee or your glass of wine, whatever you would prefer, and join us for a little gal pal time talking business, marketing, and everything in between. And don't forget, all of these episodes are on YouTube on top of Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you'd prefer to watch the conversation, which is always really fun, click on the link inside of the show notes or continue watching if you're already here on YouTube. If at any point during the episode you laugh or you smile or you have an aha moment, take a screenshot and tag us over on Instagram so we can share you with our audience and continue supporting one another. I hope that you enjoy this episode with Lara Chapman. This podcast is for professional voice teachers to answer the question, how do I grow my teaching business and even break out of that one-on-one lesson model so that I can reach and teach who I want whenever I want. I'm your host, Allie Tyler, voice teacher of over a decade and marketing and business coach for fellow voice teachers. Welcome to the Voicepreneur podcast. Hello, Lara Chapman. I am so excited that you are on the Voicepreneur podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me, Miss Allie.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like we've been chatting with each other for a little bit, and I have been telling you for a long time that I need to get you on the show. And I was trying to remember, I don't know how long we have been following each other, but however long I've been following you, you have been one of those people where you have just like set the stage for voice teachers in terms of how to actually use this whole online marketing space in such a creative way. I am so excited to talk to you about all the things that you are doing. So let's back up for a hot sec because you're doing so many things. And I know that you have a really interesting background with singing because this is something you talk a lot about in your content. You know, you've got your reels, you've got your YouTube videos. And what I love about you is that you have made a very clear stand about where you're at with voice and teaching and kind of this whole spiel. And I love that you really use your story specifically around probably Berkeley. I'm curious to hear all the things, but
Yeah.
You have really used your story as a way to create your mission and your brand as Vox Tape Studios. So can you take us back a little bit and tell us a little bit about your story and how that has influenced everything that you're doing now?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, it took me a long time to get to this point of like, what really is my mission? What am I really trying to help like students with? Like, I don't want to just be another voice teacher who does everything, right? Like, I saw all these other people like Natalie Weiss, right? She's riffing. And then we have Emily Kristen Morris. She's belting and mixing. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what's my thing? I felt a little bit defeated. Like, oh, I don't have like a thing that I do. So I definitely didn't start there. It took me a while to figure out, oh, this is my story. And because I have gone through all of this, I can now help other people who've kind of felt the same. So anyways, my story. I guess the story really starts where when I was at Berkeley, right? At the Berkeley College of Music in Boston. I did a bunch of other stuff before then. I went to a musical theater school, the New York Film Academy in New York first. And I was like, ooh, I don't love musical theater.
Mm.
So I'm gonna go back to doing pop music. So that's when I switched to Berkeley.
And
And
you're not from the US, right? Sorry to interrupt.
no,
Yeah. Where are
yeah,
you from
I'm
again?
from Switzerland originally.
Switzerland. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
And when did you move
ma'am.
out to the US?
Right after high school, right? So I moved
Okay.
here right after high school to go to, I mean, here to New York City
Yeah.
first to do this whole musical theater program. It was a 2-year program. And then I moved to Boston to get my degree in music at the Berklee College of Music. I did vocal performance, songwriting, and music business. And as I was studying at Berklee, I met this manager in Nashville, Tennessee, and I auditioned for him. And first, he didn't want to work with me. And then I sent him another video. And then he wanted to work with me. And I was like, yay, score. And so I moved to Nashville. I recorded my album and released it. And, I did a bunch of radio interviews and heard my songs on the radio. I did TV performances, magazine interviews. I did pretty much all the stuff that you need to do, as an independent artist, which was super, super exciting. But eventually I realized that I love teaching more than I love performing and doing it myself. Like, don't get me wrong, I love performing, but the whole like treating it as a business, being an artist and you have to do all these other things that you don't want to do. And I was like, no, like creating content, right? I love creating content for teaching purposes. Hate creating content as an artist, or like hated it, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I really love the teaching side. So I switched to teaching when COVID hit. I had a whole tour planned as an artist, pretty much all over the US, and I had to cancel the whole thing because COVID.
Oh,
And I was like, okay, this is a sign. I'm just going to go teach full time now. Before then, it was already like, for more than a year, I was thinking about, man, I don't love this as much as I thought I would. And you really have to love it to make all these sacrifices that you have to make, right? And I was like, I'm just not there. So I had a whole identity crisis for like 12 to 16 months. And then COVID hit. And that kind of was almost like a relief for me.
mm.
Be like, okay, I don't have to do this. I can focus on coaching. And that's when Vox Tape was born in August of 2020.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So you've
Mhm.
only been doing the Vox Tape Studios specifically for a couple of years. Is that when you started like
Yeah.
the Instagram and the YouTube and all of that?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Before then, I was just teaching as like Lara Chapman music
Yeah,
out
totally.
of my house, and just like having local people come here. It was like, yay. And, I had like 15 students. I was doing okay. And then COVID hit and all these people left. And I was like, well, now I got to start from zero again. Not quite, but almost. So,
Yes. It's like
yeah,
a blank canvas. I felt like
it
COVID
is.
was a really like a big, especially for someone like you who is already the year prior or maybe a couple years prior, like going through this identity shift, right? This
Shift.
identity
Yep.
crisis shift, whatever you want to call it. And we've
Uh-huh.
all been there as artists. And I feel like that particular identity from performer to teacher, and you specifically have a very unique story in what type of performer you were. Like you were
Mhm.
actually you did the thing, the real thing, like the magazines and everything you just listed. It's like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done that stuff. And it's so interesting that it doesn't even really matter to what avenue a lot of us take with music. For me, it was opera. Other people, it's musical theater. A lot of us have that moment of like, wait, what am I doing? And do I want to do this? And like,
Yeah.
is this what I'm actually signing up for? And I love what you said too about like, it really takes away a lot of our freedoms, and you kind of have to have a moment of like, how much freedom am I willing to give up here? And yes, as
Yes.
a business owner, do you have all the freedoms? No. But you have different types of freedoms. And what
Mhm.
I find so interesting about you, Lara, especially knowing that Vox Tape has only been around for, 3-ish years. I had no idea. Okay, that's fascinating to me because girl has over 200,000 followers on Instagram. It's no big like or no small thing here that you have such a big following. Okay, so many questions. I know everyone's like, how did she do that in 3 years? What? I think the thing I'm really curious about is two things. One, can you take us back to that time, like that identity shift? Because I'm sure this is kind of all part of it. You know, you're going through this identity shift. You're like, I'm going to be a teacher. You know, COVID gave me this little gift, basically.
Hmm.
And then you decided, I'm going to go balls to the wall with this. I'm going to like actually do the whole thing. How did you know to do that? Did you like have a set plan? I'm going to create a YouTube channel and I'm going to create these Instagram reels. Or was it like something that sort of evolved over time? And then did you have any support with you? Because I'm sure you didn't do this alone. You
I did. Okay.
did? Oh my God.
Okay.
I love it.
Well, identity shift. Okay, so let's start there. I love it, by the way, that you call it identity shift and not identity crisis. Makes me feel a little bit better about myself, low
Right.
key, but okay. So, yeah, for me, it was like I signed to this manager right when I met my now husband, then stranger. And I was like, man, when I find my people, I get really clingy, for lack of a better term. Like, those are just my people. I don't have a lot of people that I hang out with. It's just like two or three people, and they're my people. And I want to be with those people as much as I can. Other than that, I'm pretty much of an introvert and I like to be by myself. And when I met Grant, it was like, I want to spend as much time with you possible. And if I am on the road, I don't get to spend time with you. If I am gigging nights and weekends, I don't get to spend time with you because you work a 9 to 5 job. He's also a business
Yeah.
owner, so it's more like a 6 to 11, but
Right.
uh, but in general, he works during the day, during the week, and I work nights and weekends. And I was like, this is not it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't love this. And I was like, spending time with him was more important to me than touring the world and being famous and doing all that stuff. Not that I was ever famous, but you know what I mean.
Totally.
So that's kind of like how it started for me, just like figuring out what do I really want in my life long term.
Yeah.
And that to me was that's not the same thing for other people, but to me that's what it was. And so that's where it started. And I also really enjoyed teaching, not necessarily like people with any aspirations of becoming a singer or anything, just people who wanted to take singing lessons to get better. That was like my clientele when I first started out, just people who wanted to sing. And I really enjoyed working with them because when they have a breakthrough, that to me is so much more rewarding than me doing something amazing for myself. Like getting
Yeah.
a TV interview or hearing my song on the radio. Like, that's great, don't get me wrong. But if I can help other people get there, to me, so much more rewarding than me doing it for myself. Those were the two big factors that to me were like, okay, I'm gonna go try to do this by myself. So I wanted to teach for myself because I applied for a job somewhere else and the pay was not it. And I was like, no, I only need like 5 students a week to make more money than what you're offering me for like working lots of hours. So I'm like, no, thank you very much. I'm gonna go try this by myself. And so I built, Lara Chapman Music LLC.
Yes.
And I had all these students, and then COVID hit, right? And so, right before COVID hit, I actually had this idea of taking my whole business online already, but in form of online courses. Not necessarily like teaching private lessons online, but selling online courses and online memberships. So, my last vacation before COVID hit, we were in Costa Rica with my family, like a whole family vacation over Christmas and New Year's in 2019 to 2020. And already there, I was like, I'm going to create an online course. So I started like writing a script on the beach, on my little iPad, started writing a script for an online course. And then so COVID hit and I was like, no, COVID, you're too early, too early. Like, I need another couple weeks, to get this all ready. And then, 2 years later, it was still a thing. But anyways, so I started creating online course, or like one big online course. And I was like, okay, how do I actually sell this course? How do I host it? Like, what goes into this? So I bought a course from someone who teaches you how to build online courses.
Totally. Yes.
and so I literally became a web developer during COVID. I built my own website using WordPress and used all these different plugins so I could host a course on my own website. I didn't know about Kajabi or Teachable or any of those. No, I built it all myself because I'm a crazy person. So many frustrations later, it was up and running. And I was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's sell it. And it was all built, right? I built it before I sold it. Mistake that a lot of people make. But it was like, all right, August 1st, Swiss National Day. Like it's our Independence Day. Not that we were ever dependent, but anyways, that's like our July 4th is August 1st. I was like, that's perfect. I'm going to use that as my launch date and it'll be great. And it was just crickets, right? Of course, because I'm like, no one knows about this. Like, what am I doing? So I had this whole membership, this whole course, everything built out, and no clients. Because I didn't think that far. I was like, you need to build it, and then people will come automatically. No, not how that works. So at the same time, I was also, building a social media presence. I started, what did I start? A TikTok, I started a YouTube channel, and I started an Instagram page and a Facebook page that I don't ever really use. But I started all those different pages and I started posting content consistently. And it was just like singing tips and just like what everybody else does as well. Just my 2 cents on all that stuff, right? But nothing concrete, nothing like I am the go-to person for X, I am the go-to person for Y, right? Like it was just like all things contemporary singing. Here's what it is. I mean, literally my online course was called the Complete Contemporary Voice Guide. Like nothing specialized about that. It's just like, it's everything, right?
Yeah,
I want to be the person for everything. I'm like, no. Like looking back now, I'm like, oh, Lara, what were you thinking? But that's how I started.
Oh my gosh, that was like so many little nuggets of wisdom in there. I mean, because here's the thing. Yes, we can always look back at our experience and be like, WTF, right? I have those moments, so many of those moments myself. And what I really love, though, about your story that's so fun, and I hope everyone takes away from this, is that you had an idea and you made it come to life. And that, even though no one signed up or you got 2 or whatever, however many people bought what was it called? The complete what was it? Vocal contemporary guide. Contemporary guide.
The Complete Contemporary Voice Guide. Yep.
Voice guide. Yes.
What a name.
What a name. Oh yeah. I can't even, I don't even remember what those letters, C. Anyway. Yeah. But it's great. I think it's such a great experience to follow through. And that's something that I'm always preaching to the world. It's just like, even if, you do it backwards or whatever. And that's funny because anyone who listens to the podcast or knows me or knows us or you or whatever, like we all kind of have figured out, oh yeah, beta testing, that's a thing, right? And so yes, in your world back then when you made that course, you probably didn't know about beta testing and you didn't know what you didn't know, but it still is so admirable that you completed something, that you had an idea on the beach. And this is what's so amazing about you in general, is that this is the person that you look to, y'all. If you are like, how do I just keep going no matter what? You just keep going no matter what. I don't honestly know how you keep up with everything, but somehow you do. And we'll get there. But it is so interesting because it all started from that beach day, or, in Costa Rica, where you're like, I'm going to make a course. And then you did. And that was the momentum that got you started to be able to learn all the things that you learned and then all the things that you're doing now, which leads me to my next question. Yeah. And I'm so excited about this because the thing that you have at least shifted into that I've seen with your quote unquote identity shift is that you have created this claim to fame with these vocal warm-ups around pop songs. I don't know what you call it. Do you call it pop song warm-ups? Do you have a name for them? Is that like a thing?
I just call them pop song exercises.
Pop song exercises. Okay, perfect. So I freaking love these. And we do similar things. I just never got on camera and did it. And I always love it when I see people doing something similar to how I teach, but they actually are doing it like you. Like what you're saying. They're actually doing the thing. I'm like, bravo, you are putting yourself on camera and you're doing it over and over and over and over and over again. And somehow or another, you are constantly writing music. You are writing music. You're recording music. You're doing so much. Every time I see a video of yours, I know know that that took a lot of work to make that video. So take us
Yeah.
back to that. First and foremost, I want to know, how did you even come up with that idea? And then can you give us a little snippet into what that looks like how that goes in the production side?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I actually, my gosh, I guess I got kind of lucky because I was looking at what other people are doing, and one of my students was like, "Hey, have you heard of Cheryl Porter?" I'm like, "No, I haven't." So I Googled her and I was like, "Oh my God, she has millions of subscribers on YouTube." And I did not know about her at all. But anyways, and so I saw this video of her where she was like, like with a whole group of people, she was singing, I think it was Havana, Camila Cabello, I think. But she used it as an exercise. But it was like the whole song was one long exercise. There were no modulations or anything. It was just the whole song as like a karaoke track, a playback track, right? Instrumental track. And then she just made a vocal exercise out of it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. But what if we made it more like an actual vocal exercise, because we modulate when we do exercises, right? So, what if instead of taking an entire song and just making an exercise out of it, what if I just take 15 to 20 seconds of a song and make an exercise out of that? So, that was one aspect of it. And the other aspect was also like, I wanted to bring more of the song into the exercise rather than just like, ay, yo, mi, me, mama, mu, like, blah, 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 all that stuff. I was like, okay, well, maybe I can take some lyrical inspiration and some melodic inspiration from the songs as well to just kind of be like, oh, I know this song. This is fun, right? And also, another nice side effect of these pop song exercises, besides just, training your voice on that certain thing that the exercise is supposed to help you with, it also helps with musicality, right? Because you're singing to actual music, not to scales. And
Yes.
that's a huge part of what I am trying to teach to our students, right? Is musicality and artistry. It's basically the perfect in between of a regular scale vocal exercise and working on a song. It kind of bridges the gap between the two. But yeah, I originally got inspired by Cheryl Porter. Now I'm saying I got inspired. I didn't steal it because I saw it and I made it my own. I didn't just steal it. This is exactly the same idea. Because I've had people ask me before, "Hey Lara, I want to make my own pop song exercises. How can I copy you essentially?" And I'm like, I'm
Right?
not gonna tell you how to copy me. Like, come up with your own
Yes.
idea, right?
Yes.
But anyways, I got inspired, and I feel like everyone should get inspired by other people, just not steal.
Yes.
So that was how the pop song exercises were born, and how I make them is I try and find songs that are either currently very popular or that, are just big songs, and all the singers, like everyone who loves singing karaoke or whatever, that's like their go-to song, just like a really popular song. And I figure out, okay, what about this song is like the difficult part, or it stands out to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm working on a new one, Zombie by the Cranberries. So what is the thing about that song? It's the flip. Zombie, oh.
Yes.
So all right, I'm going to take that idea and I make an exercise that's going to help you make these vocal cracks happen, these vocal flips, these yodels, whatever it is you want to call them, right? Like I pick the song and then I figure out what's the song about vocally. So I pick the theme, right? The area
Yes.
of the voice that I want it to work on. And then I create the exercise. I pick just like I said, a 15, 20 seconds from that song. I create the exercise and then I modulate it inside of my DAW and record the vocals. And then I used to edit the vocals myself. I don't do that anymore. I send it to my audio engineer. He edits the vocals. And once I have that, I record the video. And then I used to edit the video myself as well. Now I no longer do that either. I sent that to my assistant. And she does the whole video editing and, taking the actual vocal track and put it underneath the video. And then that's it. Then it's ready to
Wow.
go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it. Easy breezy. No.
I mean,
It's
it does
amazing.
take a lot of time.
So much time. But I love that process and it makes so much sense. And I love that you are specifically taking parts of a song, like you said, that really help you with that concept. And that could be musical, that could be technical. I just am always so excited when people do what I call like real teaching when it is beyond the scales and beyond the
Hmm.
pedagogy. And it's like, let's just take the songs we freaking sing all the time, okay?
Yeah.
That
Yes.
we're singing in the
Yes.
car anyway, and let's learn how to sing them, right? So I love
Yeah.
that so, so, so much. And I love every video that I see of yours. And okay, so now I want to know a little bit about YouTube. I feel like for me, YouTube and Instagram Reels, like I'm so intimidated by YouTube because it feels like long form content or bigger or like, oh God, more editing, right? You
Hmm.
are doing both. And you have to get into a rhythm to do that successfully, which you do. And when I say both, I mean Instagram and YouTube. And you said you're on
Yeah.
TikTok too, which, okay, I guess that's 3. Are you still on TikTok? Are you doing
Yeah.
that
We have
jam?
like 900,000 people on
Oh
TikTok.
my gosh. Okay. I don't even have the app TikTok, so that's why I know nothing.
Yep.
I've tried, y'all. I have tried, but TikTok does not want me to be a user. I have tried many times. So I didn't even know that. Okay. So now you have 3 platforms,
Mhm.
WTF. How do you do that? Okay. I like literally, how do you do it? So I want to know, let's take us back to the time when you were doing it all by yourself, because
Mhm.
as we get into this stuff and we start selling things and you start filling up your studio, I talk a lot about the seesaw. And the seesaw can mean so many things. It can mean, one side is passive income, the other side is clients, or one side is I'm doing it by myself, the other is that I have a team, right? And
Mhm.
over time, we're always sort of teetering on that seesaw. And now you have teetered the seesaw into a side where you have help. And that is everything, right? It's such a
Oh yeah.
different game when you have help. But when you are on that other side and you are transitioning the seesaw and you don't have the help, you're doing everything yourself. So,
Mhm.
and this is where most of us are. I know that most of the listeners who listen to this podcast are in this boat where we're like, yeah, having a team sounds real nice, girls, but like I'm still in the boat doing it by myself.
Yeah.
Can you give any advice for people who are trying to figure out how to get into a content flow? Like, how do you teach students and make content? Do you have any tips, tricks? Do you batch?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. And I wish I had like a system. But so, okay. So, I mean, I batch. Yes, I do batch. So even with
Yeah.
the pop song exercises, right? Like on Instagram and TikTok, I post the exercise just one time through, but in fact, it's a much longer exercise, right? Like it modulates and it comes back down, and there's a whole explanation to the exercise on like what to pay attention to, how to do it, and be careful with X, Y, and Z.
So
And
that's
that's
your
the
YouTube then.
long that's my YouTube video,
Got it.
right? And
Okay.
so I post it to my Instagram and my TikTok, and I'm like, the whole exercise and the explanation is on my YouTube. Go check out my YouTube, right? So I'm like trying to send traffic to YouTube that way as well. So I do take certain pieces of content and use it across multiple platforms, just not exactly the same way. And it's also when I use my content on YouTube and on TikTok or Instagram at the same time, you have to be careful with how you're setting up your camera,
Yes.
right? Because YouTube is this way.
Yeah.
Whatever this way
Yes.
is. What is this way?
Exactly. Horizontal.
Horizontally. Yes. And Instagram and TikTok is vertical, right? So
Yeah.
I just set up my camera real far away so that
Mm.
I can, like have just me and cut out all the sides for Instagram and TikTok. And when I do YouTube, I can zoom in a little bit more, right? And I still have space.
Got it.
So just
That's
be
helpful.
smart of how you set up the camera so you can use it in different formats, horizontally and vertically.
Mhm.
And so that's one thing. And the other is I do batch. So I no longer teach a lot. I just do trial lessons. But when I was teaching a lot, because again, no team, okay, so just me,
Yep.
I always took notes of what I was talking about in a lesson that I'm like, oh, everyone should know about this, right? So I would just
Mm.
like write down a couple little words, right, or ideas of like, oh, make a video about that, make a video about that, make a video about that. And so I still do this, by the way. I have like an entire list of things, topics that I can create videos on. And before I run out of content, because I don't tell myself I'm going to record every other Monday or whatever. I just record all the stuff that I have and then I post it. And then when I have nothing left to post, I go create some more content. So I just have my list and I write out scripts so that I know what I'm going to say, at least for reels. For YouTube videos, I no longer do that. got the time. I just talk. And so for Reels and TikToks, I write out the script and then I just record myself and I post it.
Mm,
And I
I
post
love
the
that.
same videos on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts. You can post the same videos there. Maybe don't post the same video on the same day on all the platforms, right? Like maybe switch it up a little bit so that if someone finds you on TikTok, they're like, "Oh, she has an Instagram. I want to go check out her Instagram." And it's exactly the same thing, right? Like switch it up a little bit so it can be the same content, just not at the same time, maybe.
Yes, got it. Oh my gosh, this is really good. You're giving me some great ideas. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, YouTube is your main place in that Instagram and TikTok are kind of like little snippets, right? Of that. They're like little commercials almost of what's actually inside of the
Mhm.
YouTube video. Is that sound right?
Yes and no. Yes and
Yes and no.
no.
Okay.
For the pop song exercises, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's just kind of like a highlight. The TikTok and the reel is a highlight of what the YouTube video is. But honestly, my main platform is Instagram. I love how you can have
Oh.
conversations with people on Instagram
Yeah.
and build that connection and convert them into a paying client, right? So that is my main platform. I am actively trying to get back into doing more YouTube. I used to do way more YouTube than I do now, but I want to get back into doing more of that. And because I used to do vocal coach reacts videos, and those videos will get you a lot of subscribers, by the way. If you want to get monetized on YouTube as quickly as possible, do vocal coach reacts videos and
Right.
react to Dimash. If you react to Dimash, you're going to have a monetized channel within 3 days. You're going to be fine. So, it's kind of like play the game and also do what you actually want to do.
Mhm.
But I am trying to get more into YouTube, but I'm terrible when it comes to repurposing content, right? So with this podcast, for example, you have your podcast, but then you record the video as well. So you repurpose that on your Instagram as well. I've seen like little snippets of your podcast in video format on your Instagram. Genius, right? I can't be bothered doing these things. For me, it's faster to just re-record it. Like record just a quick little video and just post that. I'm faster doing that than going through long format content and figure out all the little snippets that I want to use across other platforms.
Yeah.
So that's when someone else who can help you with that stuff comes in really handy. I just don't have a person like that. And it sounds like most people listening to this also don't have that.
I
But
know.
for
I
some
don't
people, it
either.
is better to repurpose. Yeah. So for some people, it is better to repurpose. For others, like me, it's better to just quickly redo and post. It's faster for me to go that route, but it really
Mm.
depends on the person.
I love this. This is great advice. And what's cool about it that I don't think a lot of people have really put together. It's something that you said just a couple of minutes ago, specifically about batching, and that there is a pre-batch time. And I think this is important because a lot of us think, "Oh, batching. I'm going to sit down for 2 hours and I'm just going to come up with a bunch of content." It's like, no, you're not. I've never been
Yes. Yeah.
successful at that. I'm sure you aren't either. You do it for all the time, days and days and days, weeks and weeks and
Mhm.
weeks, and that you keep a running list. Oh, there's an idea. Oh, that was a great aha moment in a lesson. Oh, that student had a really interesting question, right? I say this stuff all the time
Yeah.
inside of the program I run too. It's like your students will give you everything. And when they don't, you will get an idea from them. Even if they didn't even say it specifically, you will still get inspiration from your studio. And now your job
Mhm.
is to collect that inspiration. So I love that because that helps us plan a little differently. It's like, oh, okay, I've got my running list, got my ideas. Now I can go, hop onto a video. And I also love that you said you don't script YouTube. That's so great because isn't that funny how it's like Instagram Reels we have to get so dang tight with, right? It's
Yes,
like
exactly. You
30
don't have all the
seconds.
time.
Yeah, you
Yes.
don't have time. So it takes a very different type of creativity to make a reel, I feel. And with YouTube videos, it's much more like, oh, yeah, here's the topic. I can just talk all day about it. So that's really cool that you have kind of spread out and you know where your priorities are and how to record for different types of platforms. I love that so much. Also, okay, curious about Instagram. So you said something interesting. You said that Instagram is your favorite platform. I'm so surprised
Mhm.
to hear you say that. Also, kind of not at the same time because it's mine too. I love Instagram. I think
Yes.
a lot of people love Instagram. And you said engagement. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how is that different than YouTube? Is that in, I don't know anything about YouTube. So YouTube, it doesn't sound like it's quite as engaged over there, or you don't get that personal connection. Is that what that means?
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't, you can't, I mean, maybe you can. I don't know if you can, but I don't think you can send direct messages on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
don't think you
so.
can.
So it's the
Again, like,
DMs,
I
huh?
don't know much about YouTube either. All I know is I have a channel and I post.
Yeah, we know a lot about marketing, you guys, we swear.
But what I like about Instagram is that you can give people an insight into your life, like with the stories, right? You can post like questions and polls, and they can interact with that. And you're like, oh, okay, this is how you feel. So let me do X, Y, and Z, right? You can have
Mm.
like direct messages with like direct conversations with people as well, which is really nice because it's so much easier to get someone to sign up for a trial lesson or buy your course or whatever it is you're trying to sell if you've had a conversation with these people, right? Rather than
Yes.
just through your content. So that's what I
Mm.
really like about Instagram. It feels more personal than any of the other platforms, and I also feel like compared to TikTok, I like the people on Instagram better because they are a little bit more willing to part with their money, for a lack of better term.
To your ideal client.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Totally.
yes, because
Yeah.
on TikTok you have a lot of kids and
Yeah.
they don't have money. They have to ask their parents. And that there's nothing wrong with that, right? But my ideal student is an adult who is in charge of their own finances. So my ideal people just are on Instagram. Now, what I do love about the people on YouTube, those people are way more committed than on any other platform because they are
Mm.
actively searching for whatever it is you're talking about if they find you. That is, if they find you.
Yep.
And so they're actively searching, they actively have a problem that they're trying to solve, not just scroll, 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 right? Unless they're
Right.
doing YouTube shorts. But if they're watching the long format video, they're way more committed to solving their problem than the people on TikTok or Instagram. So that's what I love about YouTube. It's just that personal connection there is a little bit missing. And so, what I'm trying to do for the future, when I have some time, is to create YouTube videos that feel more personal rather than like, here are my 3 best tips on releasing tension. No one cares. I mean, a lot of people care, but that's not
Yes.
how you're going to convert people.
Yeah.
It's create like telling stories, right? Be like, this is how I got signed to a manager, and here's what you need to do the same. So, more things like that, more personal stories, more creating that connection rather than just tips and tricks and exercises.
It's reminding me so much, like, it just feels like a blend, a perfect blend of both. Like, you have to have the content to show your expertise, but you equally have to have the engagement. And a lot
Mhm.
of people forget that. They just are like, oh, content, kind of like how you were before with the first course. Here it is. I built it. They're going to come, right? And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
wait, no, I got to build them coming. So,
Yes.
okay. And that's great because now this is the something that I wanted to ask you about, which is your new course, because you just
Yes.
launched a new course, what, last month? 2 months ago? It's pretty new,
Yeah,
right?
2 months ago
2
now.
months
Yep.
ago.
Mhm.
And this is so interesting. Okay. I'm really excited to talk to you about this because I remember this was probably last fall, maybe fall of 2022. I put out a post on Instagram and I think it was something, I don't remember the title of it. It was something having to do with like, do you have your teaching method or what's your teaching method? Do you remember
Yes.
this?
Yes.
And you messaged me. You were so sweet. You sent me these voice texts, which I always love getting in my DMs. And you were like, girl, oh my God, I just came up with it. My method, it's this, and that, confidence. And it was like, pew, pew, fireworks. And you were like, this just clarified everything. And then I felt like the moment you sent me those messages, I just watched that all happen all over your social media. And you
Yes.
started
Yeah.
putting out content that was so specific about this difference between being the singer, being the artist,
Yeah.
having confidence versus just having a bunch of voice training. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that and your new course. Like, how did that all come to be? Because it's all connected.
Yeah, that is such a great question. So I used to work with a bunch of guys who helped me create a high ticket offer. And I was like, well, a high ticket offer is just like it has a beginning, it has an end. It's like a 2 or 3 month long training and it costs a lot of money. And That's pretty much it.
Yes.
And I was
Yep.
like, okay, well, I can do that with songwriting. I can do that with teaching you how to business with social media content, but I cannot guarantee you a transformation in voice within a certain amount of time because every voice is different and everyone starts at a different place. So I don't feel comfortable doing that. And so they were like, well, but I'm sure you can come up with something in the voice area where you can, promise a transformation within 3 months. And so we ended up with confidence, right? And like teaching the whole musicality aspect of singing, not like you're gonna expand your range by a third within the next 3 months or something. Like I can't guarantee that, right?
Right.
But the whole confidence thing and the musicality thing, and I was like, okay, that is actually really, really helpful. So when you posted about that and when I messaged you, for me it was the whole confidence thing, right? Helping you feel more confident. It's shifted slightly, not necessarily in what I teach, but how I talk about it.
Mm.
Confidence is the result, but how I'm going to get you there is by transforming you into an artist, right? Stop
Mm.
worrying about your range because it does not matter. Stop worrying about comparing yourself to others and feeling like you're not good enough and feeling like there's nothing special about your voice. Like, no, 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 no. Let's find your voice and let's help you develop your own sound. And through that, you're going to be much more musical. You're going to pick the right songs for your voice and you're going to feel so much more confident because you actually feel like you sound good. And
Mm.
so the whole confidence thing actually ended up becoming the result and not really like you need to do that to do the other stuff, right? You need to be confident to be an artist. I'm like, no,
Right.
you need to be an artist to be confident. So it's almost like
Yes.
it's switched.
I love that so much. Oh
So
my
it's still kind of
gosh.
changed, but it was still under the same umbrella, right? So we're still under the confidence slash artistry umbrella. So yeah, and so
Yeah.
that's what the course is about, right? It's called The Confident Singer, how to look, sound, and feel like a natural performer in 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh,
And
so good.
it's pretty darn cool. I love it. I love it so much. I think it's
I
great.
love it too. I love it too. And I love that you love it too. And I love that it's so dang specific. And
It
it's
is.
so, I mean, can you say that subtitle again? Look, feel, what was it?
Yeah, look, sound, and feel like a natural performer.
Yeah. That
Mm-hmm.
is really, really good.
Because I
Oh
feel like the whole
man.
natural part, right? A lot of people have like, oh, I don't have a natural talent for this. Like, I can't, like, I can learn how to sing and I can learn how to sing the right notes at the right time, but I'm never going to be as good as insert favorite person here because they have a natural talent for this and I don't. And I'm like, I didn't have a natural talent for this and I got a manager. So if I can do this, so can you. And I'm going to teach you how.
Yep. I love that. And that's something that you do so beautifully in your marketing is that you pull in your stories so much. One of my very, very, very favorite reels that you've been doing lately is the singer versus artist. And
Yeah.
it's the whole, I don't know if you follow Russell Brunson and his online
Yeah.
marketing stuff, but he talks a lot about us versus them. And I love that because I'm always a huge proponent, especially in the voice teaching world, of stop caring what other voice teachers think and just post your thing. And yes, you
Mm-hmm.
are going to piss people off. And yes,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
if you frame it how you did. Here's me being a singer, la 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 la, like doing all the right quote unquote vocal technique. And then this is me as an artist and you're like crushing it. And then you have a little caption that can maybe trigger a couple people, right? Especially voice teachers who are like, what is Lara talking about? Don't take voice lessons. It doesn't help. It could hurt you. All of these things that you
Oh,
post about. Oh my
girl,
gosh.
the amount of hate comments I have gotten is insane. And like a lot of people are really like they identify as a singer and they get really offended when
Yeah.
you portray the singer as something not necessarily negative, but as not as good as
Yeah.
artist,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's not like one is better than the other. It's just depending on your goals,
Mm-hmm.
one is better than the other. Okay. So I'm just like trying to highlight something that is important to me, and not everyone gets it. And some people do. And the ones that do are, because of that, the perfect fit for my studio.
Yes, exactly. And that's really what it all comes down to, right? It's like you
Mhm.
are going to repel people Thank God, because we don't want to attract everybody. And everybody thinks that the goal is to get everybody, but it's not, right? It's really to
No.
get the people that you are meant to get. And I love it too, because it also really distinguishes you as a teacher. You know, it's
Mm.
very clear within 10 seconds of looking at your Instagram or any of the social media platforms that you're on, what type of teacher you are, what you're all about, what I'm going to get from learning, you know, from you and all of that.
Mhm.
And that's what we want. So if that means you're going to piss off people, so be it. You're going to piss off people, and that's okay. It
Yes,
sounds like
you
you've dealt with it
always
pretty well.
will. Oh, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I remember the first couple hate comments that I got. I was like, "Oh my God," right?
Totally.
I am terrible. I'm a terrible person and I don't know what
Yes.
I'm talking about and I'm a bad singer and all those things, right?
Yep.
And eventually I was like, "You know what? I know more than these people. So,
Yeah, right.
why do
Exactly.
I care?"
Why do I care? I'm in the arena. Thank you very much. Are you doing anything? That's what I always think. It's like, what
Yeah.
are you doing exactly? That is putting you in
Yes.
the arena.
Yes,
I love that
absolutely.
so
But
much.
one thing that I do want to highlight or stress or, just bring attention to is how long it took me to get to finding my method, my thing,
Yeah.
right? Like I was teaching, pre-COVID, but even if we just look at Vox Tape, right? August of 2020, it wasn't until the fall of 2022 where the whole confidence thing started to become like an idea. And I would say January of this year, like beginning of 2023 is when I was like, this is the artist versus singer thing. This is where I can bring my own story into this and not feel like I'm teaching you something. Cause like I was never not confident, not gonna lie. So for me, it was kind of like, I can teach you how to be confident, but it wasn't ever something I struggled with.
Yeah.
So it's like, I didn't have the right wording. And so it was difficult for me to market it. Right.
Yeah.
And so the whole artist versus singer thing, that is something I absolutely struggled with and something that I had to learn. And so I'm like, okay, now I can bring my own personal experience into this. And it took me forever
Mm.
to realize that that's what it was that I struggled with, you know, and that that's my story and that that's what makes me different from everybody else. It took me years. Right. And so it took me at least 2.5 years to go from I teach everything to I help people look, sound, and feel like a natural artist and help them feel ready to start, like to put themselves out there and start a career in today's music industry as a contemporary artist. Like it took me forever to get here.
Yeah.
So it's not
I'm
like an
so glad.
overnight thing. I wish it was, but it's not. It's a
I'm
process.
so glad that you shared that, because that is the hardest part, what you
Mhm.
just talked about. It is the part that I am ad nauseum talking to voice teachers about. And it is such an inner journey to really, like, it's one thing to be like, here's my story. I went to Berkeley and then I did this and that. Right. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Right. Same with me. I got my story. I went to USC and then I got nodules and blah, blah, blah. But then it's
Mhm.
another to be like, wait a minute, what was I feeling during those moments? And what was I
Yes.
thinking about? And like, what was I subconsciously thinking about? You know, all of that stuff takes
Mhm.
so much time and digging. And then it's so satisfying when you can get that quote unquote perfect tagline as you do, which takes forever. I know it's like so hard to get that copyright, but then when you get it just right, you're like, that's it.
Mhm.
That's my foundation. Now we've created the foundation. We did all that work to create the foundation, but it's so easy after that, as you could tell,
Yeah.
like the singer versus artist. Oh, now it's flowing out of me. I
Mhm.
especially love too that you said that that wasn't your story, and I relate to that because I teach adults how to sing and how to hear pitches and how to sing in tune and how to understand music.
Mhm.
I learned music when I was 2. I learned to read music when I was 4. I don't even remember learning how to do it. Both of my
Yeah.
parents are musicians. So I totally relate in that whole like, what was I struggling with? Like, I don't know how to relate to these people. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
it feels to listen to music and not know what I hear. And I say that, you know, humbly, of course, but it's the truth.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then you dig deeper into, what am I thinking about? And what was I thinking about? And what was I feeling in the moments I felt the most vulnerable about my voice?
Mhm.
Aha, okay, now I can connect on the human part, right? Because that's what it's all
Yeah.
about, is connecting on the human
Yes.
part, and people to see you as an example of what's possible. When they
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I'm studying with Lara," they're not just studying with you because, you know, you've got these cool Instagrams and reels and pop song exercises and all this great stuff. It's like, you're relatable. You have
Mhm.
something that we connect with your story, with your struggles, with all of this type of stuff. So I love that you said that because it is very important that we know that it takes time,
Mhm.
takes vulnerability. And when you do the work, it is so damn satisfying.
Yes, because you wanna know the best, like, side effect of getting it right and sharing your story? You attract the right clients. Oh,
Yes.
because like, a while there, when I was posting singing tips and regular exercises and things like that, I was attracting people who could not match pitch to save their lives, and I was like, "This is the last thing I wanna do. I
Mm,
don't wanna teach you how to match pitch. Like, I love you very
yeah.
much, but, no, don't make me do that. This is torture for me." And so, it's like I'm finally like I just had two trial lessons with people who are both in bands and they both like sound amazing and they just need a couple little tweaks to make it just mwah, chef's kiss,
Yes.
like that much better. And that's when I get really excited. And when you get really excited, you have happy students. And when you have happy students, they see a lot of success. And when they see success, you can brag about it.
That's right. It is the full circle, right? Their stories are your
Yes.
marketing. Exactly.
Yes.
I love it. And it's all energy because exactly when you get the students in and they're attracted to what you're doing and you're attracted to them, that's really what it's all about. Then business becomes freaking fun and it doesn't feel like you're burned
Yes.
out all the time because you're enjoying the people that you're working with all the time. I love
Mhm.
that so much. And I seriously feel like I could talk to you forever. I have one more
Yes.
question for you. You just gave us so many nuggets of wisdom, and thank you so much. I'm learning so much too. And you're getting me really a little inspired to get onto the YouTube train. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah.
So you have your Confident Singer course. What are kind of the visions and the goals that you have moving forward? Is there any, like, is this kind of something where you want it to be a full-time thing? Do you want to do like voice lessons? Because you said that you've scaled back and now you have some teachers that are kind of doing that
Yes.
for you. Was this your goal all along, or do you have visions that are different this year that you're working towards?
Oh, I violently flip-flop back and forth between all the things that I want to do because the possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah.
So when I first created Vox Tape Studios, I wanted to be a membership and selling courses. So it's completely passive for me. Like I don't have to work with anyone one on one. I don't need teachers on my team. And then I could not for the life of me figure out how to sell memberships and online courses. So I was like, okay, I guess people are asking me for private lessons. So I guess I'm just going to teach private lessons because that's what they want. So, and eventually, my whole social media blew up and I had all these people coming in all at once. And I was like, too much. I need people helping me because I was not gonna turn away that money. I was like, no, give me your money. So, like the students, right? So I hired coaches to teach for me. Currently, I have six coaches on my team that are helping me with the student load. Again, like I just do the trial lesson. I meet with a student for their very first lesson to get to know them, get to know their voice, get to know their goals, and then see who from my team is the best fit for them to help them get to their goals as quickly as possible, and also personality wise would be a good fit for them. And
Mm.
so, yeah, I only do the trial lesson and then they go with someone else. And now I have the online course, which is a completely passive thing for me, which is amazing. So, what I'm working on now and what I'm probably going to be continuing working on the next couple months is figuring out ads for the online course so that can become a completely like I just give them my credit card and I spend $100 and $110 come back and I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna get a second mortgage on my house and I'm gonna dump all of that into ads and make millions. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like if you figure out the whole ads game, there's huge
Huge.
possibilities and opportunities there.
Yes.
So that's kind of my goal right now is to figure out how can I sell my online course through ads. This is the one part of my business that I've never been able to figure out myself and that I started outsourcing. Everything else in my business I have done at one point. If I'm no longer doing it, I have done it at some point. Ads, I tried, but I could not figure it out. Okay. So I was like, all right, this is the one part of my business that I'm okay with for right now if I don't understand it and I just outsource that. So that's what I'm
Mm.
working on right now. Working on ads for the Confident Singer course to just make money on autopilot, wake up to new student enrollments every day. And the other side of that is the private lessons, right? Scaling that as much as I can, and also bring a little bit more like a steady stream of new students coming in rather than a roller coaster, right? Like if I have a video that does really well, I get a lot of new people coming in all at once. And then it's a little bit, more dry season. And then I'm like, where are all these students? Come on, come take a lesson with me. Come on, we can do this. And so just bringing in a little bit more stability, I guess, getting off the roller coaster a little bit more. That's another thing that I want to focus on.
I love that you answered that with very CEO-like responses. That was
Oh,
so cool.
wait, what? I love that.
So good. It wasn't like, I'm going to make another program and you're like, no, I'm going to actually just continue scaling the thing I already made, And a lot of us kind of don't do that.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you're like, I'm going to focus on the thing I worked so hard on.
But this is the first time I'm doing that, because before I was just like, I can create 20 different online courses and they're all going to be great. I just don't know how to sell any of them. So now I'm like, okay, well, I actually know that this is great. And I've had people buying it and they all love it, as far as I know, at least. And so I'm like, okay, now I just need to figure out how I can scale this more. And I'm willing to spend money on ads and potentially go backwards a little bit before I figure it out. Yeah. So, but fingers crossed it's soon.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You're already doing it. You're doing amazing work. And you're only, like you said, ads are an amplifier for sure when done the right way. And I love that you saved that for last, because a lot of people make that mistake. They're like, oh, well, I'll just boost this post. Yeah. Well, that was $5 you just wasted over and over. But it's important to know in the long game what you're doing. And I feel like you've always had a really good sense of your long game picture. I'm going to make this course and, oh, that didn't do very well. Okay. I'm going to build my platforms and my audience. Okay, now I'm going to make another course. Okay, now I'm going to scale it. And that makes so much sense. So I'm so excited for you. And like I said, I could just talk to you forever. Thank you so much for all of that wisdom. I was so inspired. And now I'm like, okay, she's posting every day and she's doing the videos. I got to up my game here. So I'm going to try to keep up with you, girl. I seriously don't know how you do it, but you are amazing for doing all that you do. And thank you so much for inspiring us. Where can everybody find you? Vox Tape Studios. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It's at Vox Tape Studios on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and
all
don't even bother about Facebook. No, all the same name. All the same name, all Vox Tape Studios. I'd love to have a chat with you if I can help you at all. And that would just be mostly on Instagram. Right. So because you can't have a conversation with anyone else anywhere else. I mean, you can on TikTok, but oh my gosh, direct messaging on TikTok is the worst. So Instagram, my friends, please reach out on Instagram if I can help.
Let's reach out. I love it. We'll be sure to link everything in the show notes. And thank you again for being here. This was an awesome conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this stuff almost as much as I love teaching. So thank you for having me.
I just loved that conversation so much. Lara is such a sweetheart and a great energy to be around. I especially enjoyed how open she was about everything. She really is so refreshingly honest, and she knows so much about business, y'all. Her marketing is obviously quite excellent, which is always a reason to follow and support anyone, right? Because, oh my goodness, how much we can learn from them. So be sure to go and give Lara a follow over at Vox Tape Studios and let us know which part of the episode or her story resonated with you the most. We'd love to hear from you over on Instagram. It is our favorite social media platform after all. Insert winky face here. And if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to us if you'd rate and review it over on Apple Podcast. Seriously, it takes 2 minutes and it is so insanely helpful and so deeply appreciated. If you want to dive deeper into the many things that Lara talked about, including creating your own profitable teaching method and beta testing your course and selling your program, come and check out the links inside of the show notes. The Voicepreneur program is our community, course, and coaching hub that includes access to all of the resources that you will ever need to grow and scale your teaching business. So we hope that you will come and join us. And if not, that is okay. We love you so much for being here. Thank you so much. And I will catch you in the next episode.